What's up, everyone? Kyle here. Welcome to episode 27. Super excited to have you guys listen to my conversation with Sarah. Um, just a forewarning here, we had a lot of issues with the audio. It sounded better when I was recording with her, but as I went to edit and kind of review everything, the first part of it definitely had some audio issues. And so I went back and have just kind of summarized what she said in the first part of the conversation. And so it kind of sucks that we won't get to hear everything that she said there. But hopefully you guys still enjoy and get a lot out of this. I think this is an amazing conversation. So enjoy. All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited that when we're recording this, it's Friday afternoon and the weekend's here.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to talk about your travel experiences. It was kind of funny how we met. You're from Alaska, but we actually met down in Colombia. So I'm really excited to hear some of your experiences and learn more about Alaska as well.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, first, I'm really curious about Alaska. As I mentioned to you before, that's one of the last four states that I have to get to, and I'm really curious as to what it's like living in Alaska and also what it's like traveling to other places from Alaska, because I would assume it's probably difficult to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So she talked about how she lives in Anchorage, which is the largest city in Alaska and probably the most accessible city in Alaska. But to get anywhere in the state, you have to drive hours and hours to get there, or you have to take a flight somewhere typically. So she said that it can be expensive to travel, especially if you're traveling, across the country or overseas or something like that. And that is one of the biggest barriers to traveling to, from, or around Alaska. She said usually you have to fly to Seattle first to get to any other destinations around the world or the country. She also mentioned that the distance between Anchorage and Fairbanks, the second biggest city in Alaska, is about an 8-hour drive, which is insane. It's She said that it's not like other parts of the country where you're in a new state in 30 minutes or an hour or even less. So distance is a big thing, and accessibility to the rest of the world can be a big barrier for people. With all that being said, though, she said that Anchorage is similar to a lot of bigger cities around the country. There's about 300,000 people that live there, and all of the normal amenities and activities that you might think of that a big city would have are there. So you can find those, and it is a normal city like anywhere else in the U.S. She said just one thing is that you're not going to have a lot of any one thing there. So there's not going to be a ton of, one type of restaurant or something like that there. She said one big difference, though, is that, or compared to other big cities in the country, is that if you drive, 30 minutes outside of the city, you're going to be surrounded by wilderness, which is really unique, and kind of a unique experience there. So that was really cool to hear as well. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it seems like some of the most beautiful landscapes on Earth are just outside of where you live.
Yeah.
So yeah, she agreed here. She said there's a wide range of landscapes. She thinks that people have a misconception of Alaska in that it's cold all year round, but they really have all four seasons there, and they've actually set some records for warmest days. I think in the northern hemisphere or North America in the summertime, and then they've definitely set some records for coldest days in the wintertime. So there is some extreme weather there, and there is a nice mix of seasons there. It's not just cold all the time. She said it does get down to negative 30s in the winter and possibly even colder, especially if you're further north potentially. One of the cool things that she mentioned to me, which I'm sad that you can't get to hear her voice on that, she said that they have competitions for growing the largest pumpkins and cabbages and that sort of thing because there's so much daylight there in the summer that things grow really well up there. So every year at the fair, they'll have competitions for biggest pumpkin and cabbage and things like that. So pretty interesting. Something I definitely never knew about. Yeah, that's crazy. I wouldn't think about like having so much daylight in the summer would be helpful to growing, bigger pumpkins and cabbages and that sort of thing. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have a state fair every year in the fall, in August or September, and they display them and they have competitions and everything. But what I was just about to tell you was that there's over 3,000 rivers in Alaska and over 3 million lakes. And
3 million?
we have one lake. Yeah, and we have one lake in Alaska that's roughly the size of Connecticut. So we don't have like a lot. That's why they call it the last frontier, because we have so much nature over here.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just in Connecticut, and yeah, I mean it's not a very big state, but it's decently big. It'd take a few hours to get from end to end there. That's wild. A lake the size of a state. That's amazing. And then Denali is there, right? So she said yes. Denali is there. It's pretty close to Fairbanks, Alaska. It is the tallest mountain in the U.S., and I looked it up afterwards as I was editing this. It's a little over 20,000 feet at the summit, so very tall mountain. She said she's never personally adventured up there, but has some friends who are tour guides up there, and will lead you on some sort of adventure up there in Denali. So pretty cool. That's awesome. So when you're exploring Alaska, what kind of things do you typically like to do? So she said that she likes to do really big backpacking trips with her friends. They go on like 5 day trips out into the wilderness, go hiking, and do all of that. She said you can also go out to the coast, since the coast is pretty close there, and can go kayaking and take kayaking trips out for multiple days out of a place called Seward. And there's also things like river rafting, which is a ton of fun, and you're really involved in that. She said she has some fun memories from doing that. She said there's also paragliding, which she hasn't personally done. There's also zip lining. And of course, in the winter, there's skiing, snowboarding, and other winter sports like that. She said there's a really big resort near Anchorage called Alyeska. Hopefully, I said that right. That has trails all over the mountain. It's a huge ski resort. And they also have a Nordic spa there as well, which she'll explain more about here in a second. Oh yeah, the hot springs. Yeah, I've done those a few times. Those are always a fun experience. Definitely unique.
Cool. One time when it was cold, but it wasn't winter yet, and I heard that when you go in the winter, it's just freezing cold outside, and your hair can you get it wet and then you pull it out and it freezes automatically.
Oh jeez.
So that's kind of cool. I've always wanted to do that, although I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be up for putting my body in that kind of weather.
I think it can actually be therapeutic. That's actually the point of the Nordic spa. The Nordic spa it reminds me of hot springs because it's super hot, and then outside it's cold, but they have hot pools, but they also have cold pools. So you're supposed to go into jump into a cold pool and then jump into a hot pool and go back to the cold pool and go back and forth. So
yeah, I've heard that can be really good for your body, but it doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah.
Um, so what is it like, with the extreme hours of daylight or lack thereof as the seasons change?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in, you never get used to it. Like it's changing. So in winter it gets so dark, and it can be like as little as 3 hours of daylight, and it'll come out
Jeez.
late morning, and then early afternoon the sun's already set. So that can be kind of problematic for people who don't go outside a lot, people who work day jobs,
Mm,
people that go into work like 9 to 5. They'll go into work when it's dark, and then they come out of work when it's dark, and they just have no um, like exposure to the sunlight until the spring or on the weekends. And that definitely creates like vitamin D deficiencies up here, and it causes a lot of.
mm.
So definitely when you're here, to make an effort to like try to get a little bit of sunlight, like you try to go
Yeah.
outside, or so that can be really rough for people. I think that's maybe like the hardest obstacle for people who come here, that mixed with the cold weather can be really difficult.
Hmm.
But I think that there's ways around it, and I think that like sports are really fun. So, like you can find a balance, and then in the summer, um, it's the complete opposite. Sun's out all day long, like, so much to do. Like it feels like the day never ends. It'll be like right now it's midday, so it would normally be sunny, but um, like the sun is just up almost all the time. And right now at the solstice, it's up almost 24 hours. Um, and that's super nice because you can do a lot. You can go on a hike at like 9 p.m. and like finish the
Yeah.
hike. It's still sunny out. You don't have to worry about that. And it actually gets up to like 80 degrees here. I think people
Oh, wow.
realize it does get warm here, and in more northern parts of Alaska, it gets even hotter. It gets to like 90 degrees.
Really?
Yeah. So the north gets the most extreme days. So like I told you, we get about 3 hours of daylight in the winter, but
Hmm.
in the north they get like 0 hours of sunlight. It's actually like dark all the time. So yeah,
Yeah,
we just
wasn't
have
there a
like,
movie like was it 28 Days of Night or something like that? The horror movie?
is it? I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
I think it's an older one now, like 20 years ago or something like that, but it was like it took place in like Barrow, Alaska, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly where it's like. I'll
Yeah, it's
check it out.
the sun doesn't come up for like a month or something like that.
Yeah, they literally just don't see the sun for all.
Jeez. That's crazy. How do you survive?
I'm not sure you just survive. I know, like now, obviously, there's like a lot of advanced, you know, equipment. It's like there's more
Hmm.
modern, so it can be bearable. But I think about like what it was like before modern times, and
Yeah.
like tribes and stuff lived out there.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't imagine being like, "Oh, this is a good spot to stay."
yeah, I could imagine that in the summer.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I and then with the summer also, like a difficult part of that is like sleep. It's actually really
Hmm.
difficult to sleep in the summer because the sun's always out. So if you have blackout curtains, like you're you're gonna be really tired all the time.
Yeah, they always had that light coming in.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it sounds like you just kind of got to find what works for you and find a way to make it work with nature.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely like immersed with the nature here. In the summer, you can also see black bears in the city. Like
Mm,
sometimes, though it's not like every corner, but sometimes you'll see them in the neighborhoods. It'll be a little family. You see moose all year round, in the
not
city,
really.
side of the city. Yeah.
That's got to be a kind of a unique experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm a little used to it because I'm from here, but I guess that's like how people from desert places are used to seeing snakes and stuff, and I would be terrified if I saw snakes.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel
sorry.
like I'd rather see a moose than a snake, to be honest.
Yeah, it is pretty cool that the things you see here are pretty like gray, big animals, and um, we actually like growing up, going to school, everyone gets taught like bear safety and like moose safety and what to do when you see these animals. And then when people come to Alaska, I realize they don't know those things, and I'm like, oh, like you didn't learn that in kindergarten, and then I
Yeah.
realized like, oh, that's like an Alaska thing. um, but it's pretty cool. They have this saying that's like, if it's brown, lay down, and if it's black, attack. So if it's a brown bear, you want to lay down and play dead, because brown bears will just like try to like get you out of their way until you're not like in the way anymore. But black
Hmm.
bears are much more timid, so they'll avoid humans. They're actually kind of scared of humans, but if they start attacking, then they're attacking you to kill you. So they will literally, when they attack people, they will turn them over and start like ripping their guts out. So if
Oh,
you're ever
jeez.
in contact with a black bear, they're much more aggressive because once like they'll try to avoid you as much as possible until that point,
Hmm.
and then they're like not risking it at all. So if it's a black bear, you have to attack, fight back, hit the ground, and you lay down. But there's your bear safety one.
Yeah, there we go. Good to know. That'll be good for when I get up there. Um, that's interesting. What are some other like maybe unique things or fun things that people should know about if they're traveling to Alaska?
I would say, if you're coming to Alaska, it's really important to know that Alaska is not known for its nightlife or for like city life or anything, which I feel
Mhm.
um, like some people would assume that, but others would come here and be like, "So where's the casino?" And it's like, no,
Yeah.
we definitely have like things to do like that. Like we have club, like a club or a couple clubs, and then like several bars, and you
Hmm.
can have a good time. But that is one thing I would like get out of my expectations if I was coming to Alaska for the first time. Um, I would say definitely would be good to rent a car because you want to go out into the wilderness and like explore, and things are so far away, um,
Hmm.
that like you can't rely on a taxi to do those things or an Uber. There are tour services that will take you out, and I guess you could do that too. But even just like being in the city, like it's not a, it's definitely a commuting city. It's not like walk.
Yeah.
But I would say like go out there and adventure. You can go rock climbing, and you can go hiking, and you can go camping, and you can go like on glacier cruises. You can go on like river
Hmm.
trips or kayaking or canoeing. Um, I would definitely say just like go out and try a lot. There's access to things here that like you don't have other places easily. There's also some things that you can try like food wise that I think are pretty neat. Um, Here we have hot dog stands downtown and stuff that sell reindeer hot dogs.
Oh,
Those are delicious. Those are really good.
yeah, I bet.
Percent recommend those. And then you can also, it's not as accessible, but if you get the chance to, I would recommend trying muktuk, which is technically whale blubber, and that's
Mm.
like an Alaska Native thing that you can do. And then also a thing that's a little difficult to get out of, but I think you could, if you tried, is to try eating bear. If
Hmm.
you're into all that stuff, if you're vegan or something, then maybe not. But
Yeah. I definitely would be open to trying it at least once.
Yeah, and
Um,
it might not be like the best tasting or like people's preferences, but I think it's cool to just try and like just try new things, when you have the chance to.
yeah, and it's experiencing some of the local culture too, which I
Exactly.
think is important to do.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember down in when I was in Australia in Cairns, up in the Great Barrier Reef, and they had crocodile and kangaroo and a bunch of other like weird ones.
Cool.
And I just had like this whole like meat platter of just these weird meats. It was good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
um, yeah. So speaking of other places, so we like I said, we met in Colombia, and you were actually there for quite a while, weren't you?
Yeah, I was actually there for about 6 weeks. And that was an awesome trip. I did a solo trip to Colombia, and um, I'm actually I have Colombian like heritage. My mom is born in Bogota,
Oh wow.
and yeah, so she came to Alaska, but she was born and raised in Colombia. And we do have some family there that's like extended family. It's like my mom's cousin or like
Hmm.
aunts and uncles. So I'm not super close to them, and I've been to Colombia a few times. Um, Kind of like several times before this trip, but it was mostly to visit family. So this trip was mainly focused on like adventuring and exploring on my own,
Hmm.
and it was awesome. I went, um, I went to Bogota, and then I went to the coast. Oh, I also from Bogota I went to a town called Melgar, um, which is pretty cool. It was like an hour. No, it was like 2 hours away from Bogota, the city.
Hmm.
But Bogota is known to be kind of cold. Like I think similar to Seattle, like not freezing cold, but like kind of cold year round. And then
Yeah.
2 hours away is this city called Melgar, and because they have thermal floors, it's like complete different weather just 2 hours away, and it's like super hot. It was like 90 degrees while I was there, while in Bogota it was like 60 degrees or 70. Um, so
Yeah.
pretty cool. And then from there, I went to the coast. I went to Cartagena, and that is
Hmm.
you, I think, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
at the hospital we met. So
At
I
that
really,
that bar that I don't remember the name of.
I think it was Selena, the Selena hostel. But
Yeah. It was a nice one, is what I
yeah,
remember.
really nice. That was pretty cool. For me, I thought it was nice that like they had a lot. There was just so many people traveling there. I got to meet
Hmm.
travelers there. Um, and Cartagena, I don't know about you, but I thought it was very touristy, um, which
Yeah, definitely.
had its like pros and cons. So like
Hmm.
I felt like there were a lot of tourists. It wasn't somewhere that I feel like you go and like you're gonna meet a bunch of locals and see tradition and stuff. It was like a little less of that than I think I saw other places. But I did like that they had I like to dance salsa. I like to mention that. And they had live salsa band almost every single day of the week, and like dancing and everything. So I thought that was super cool about Cartagena. And obviously the weather was really nice. So like it was warm,
Hmm.
music, and there's dancing, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. What more do you need in life?
Yeah, it was awesome. And there's definitely was um like a lot of fun nightlife stuff, like just like I don't know, just the music and everything, and like very good vibes. There's
Hmm.
cool like rooftop places. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
and definitely coming from the United States, like the dollar stretches so much down there,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and I think that was really nice for me too. I really like I really like that you're able to enjoy some luxurious things
Hmm.
without paying, I guess, like U.S. prices. Um, So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like I went on a boat ride with some friends that I made at the hostel, and that was really cool. We could go out on the boat and like watch the sunset on the boat, and we had music playing, and it was just good vibes.
Hmm. Yeah, it was. I definitely enjoyed being down there and getting to, like you said, experience some of those luxuries, and not really have to pay that much for it.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked coming back to the U.S. and
Oh yeah.
everything's expensive again.
Like wait, coffee? How much? Like
Yeah,
$5 for this thing that I got for like 30 cents in Colombia.
yeah, honestly.
But
But yeah,
yeah, I definitely from Cartagena, I really enjoyed like the just having fun and like meeting travel and going dancing. I think that's what I did most of the time. I was in Colombia. I just danced salsa and I loved it. And then from there, I went um, kind of along the coast to Santa Marta first, and then Barranquilla. I went to Barranquilla and Santa
mhm,
Marta, called Huachaca. That was all pretty cool. I went to Huachaca first, and I think I really enjoyed that because it was a really small town. You probably like won't hear of it unless you're like there or like close to there. Um, and I got to experience a lot of locals and a lot of like Colombians who were really just like living like their normal life, small little
mhm,
village or town in Colombia, and that was pretty cool. Um, and everyone was so nice. They were so like welcoming and so like um just like opening their arms and their homes and everything. I remember this lady
mhm,
I met. It was her birthday. She said she invited me to come with her and her family to eat in their house some like rice with chicken, some arroz con pollo. Um,
mhm.
they were celebrating her birthday. Like yeah, and I just like went to her home, ate and I was like, wow, I just met you guys. This is so cool. You guys are so welcoming, and they made me feel like I was like a part of it. And I think that was really neat. And then they took me around to some of the waterfalls that were close by. And that was nice because it was like, it felt like it was really untouched. Like, obviously, the locals had been there. It wasn't,
Mhm.
but it was beautiful. So that was really cool. Huachaca is really close to the national park, Tayrona. Um, so, like, it was similar, um, like scenery and landscape as the
Yeah,
Tayrona National Park, but it was just untouched. Um,
yeah, yeah. That's one of the things I noticed about Colombia. Like you were saying earlier, with the difference in temperatures and stuff like that. It's a very diverse landscape in the country.
yeah,
I mean, Cartagena is definitely different from Bogota and some of the more mountainous regions.
oh, yeah.
It was wild to see the difference.
Hmm. Yeah, and they not only are diverse in their nature, but also diverse in um like the cultures themselves. If you go to different regions of Colombia,
Yeah.
the cultures can be super different. And um yeah, I don't know if you saw the movie that they made Encanto about Colombia,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but I feel like they did a pretty good job of depicting like, how diverse it can be. Like, there's people with darker skin, with lighter skin, there's
Hmm.
like all sorts of different things. Um, and then also Colombia has like a lot of influence with magic realism. Um, and I think that's pretty cool. Like going to some of the shows and stuff and like learning about some of the stories that people have, like the myths and the legends and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, for sure. Such a unique country with some unique history for sure.
yeah, definitely. And then from Coachaca, I was in Barranquilla for the carnival. Were you
Hmm.
able to go to the carnival when you
No,
were
I
there?
didn't, but I saw your posts on Instagram and I was like, wow, that looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, so that was actually like so much fun. It was awesome. The Carnaval de Barranquilla. is the second largest carnival in the world after Rio de Janeiro in
Huh.
Brazil. So there was so many people and so much stuff going on. The parades all day long for hours from 11 to 6 p.m. or something. It was just all day long. And then they had different things going on in like all these different parts of Barranquilla. They had dancing on the street. They had like this big carnival tent thing where they had shows and stuff performing inside. And then they just had every like shop, everything, every corner. They were blasting music and people were just dancing on the street. That was pretty cool. Um,
Wow. I'm s- that sounds like I mean I've always wanted to go to Carnival in Rio, but it just seems like not only a big party, but it's just so like inclusive and welcoming and just like
yeah,
feel the good vibes like you said.
definitely. The only downside to it is that from what I've heard, from what I was told, it sounds like that city, Barranquilla, has a ton of people. It's a big city, but it's not
Hmm.
kind of a poor city. So then this carnival does it brings the city a lot of money. I
Hmm.
also a problem with theft when the carnival happens. So
I'm sure.
really every person that I spoke to and I told them I was going to the carnival, they were like, don't take your phone. Leave your phone at the wherever you're staying. Don't bring it out. Don't put it out. Your like your phone will get stolen. And it wasn't a problem with safety or anything. It was just theft. So
Yeah.
I was pretty concerned and I had a good technique. I was able to put my phone in my fanny pack inside of my shorts. So I never got my phone stolen. Definitely was a problem. I got to the hostel I was staying at, which was really cool. It was a hammock hostel. I was sleeping in a hammock and
Oh wow.
everyone rented out a hammock. So we were just hammock buddies. But when I got there the first night, 3 people had gotten back from going to the carnival and they were we all lost our phones. I don't know what happened. I had my pocket, it was closed up and I didn't even feel it. So I was oh no, that's scary. But
Jeez.
even though I did take my phone, was able to take some photos and stuff, put it back away. It was it's not nice that theft is a problem, but it was kind of nice that you're almost forced to enjoy the moment and not be on your phone for a single
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Seriously.
like I don't know, maybe it's just me trying to look for the bright side of it, but I thought that was such a nice part of it because sometimes I feel I hear about these big events or something and then you see these Instagram photos, but then in real life it's just all these people with their phones in their hands. No one's really
Yeah.
interacting as much as you think that they would. So I thought that was a nice aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's always some good in the bad for sure.
Yeah, the silver lining.
Yeah. What was it like traveling down there by yourself?
So, um, I did a little bit of solo traveling before, but this is definitely the longest trip that I was on my own, completely for a while.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed it and I really recommend it for people. I think that it's kind of good for soul searching a little bit and just getting comfortable being alone. I think there's something important about being able to be alone and not feel lonely. Um,
Hmm.
and you are the person that you will have to spend the most time with in your entire life. You have to learn to love yourself or else you're not gonna have a good time. So I
Hmm.
I felt that was really nice. Um just kind of getting to know yourself and you have a lot of time to think when you're alone. What kinds of things you enjoy and what kinds of things in life that you want to go for and when you wake up every day you decide for yourself what you're gonna do that day and
Hmm.
how you're gonna do it. You're the one that puts in effort, and if you don't put in the effort, you're not gonna do it. I think that that's something that's so important. Maybe we all know in the back of our heads, but if you don't apply it, it's harder to be conscious about it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. It kind of like gave myself more accountability. Sometimes if you go on a trip and like someone else is with you and they plan everything, you're kind of just going along. But I
Hmm.
feel like when you're alone, like you have accountability for, like, you know what, this is a decision I made and this is the outcome. The decision I made and this is the consequence. I think both are good. One is a learning experience and the other is like, I don't know, also a learning experience. Like it's all good. I also, but like it, like I think some people like, I don't know if I know not everybody has this problem. It can feel like it's hard to say the things like someone says like, no, like you should do this. Okay, I'll just go along with it. But I felt like
Hmm.
alone, I really had the opportunity to feel if I was in a situation where I was with people and like I wasn't enjoying it, I could just be like, hey guys, I'll meet up with you later. It was not a problem.
Yeah.
And you kind of get to pick and choose. Like, I guess overall, I would say I was able to value my time a lot
Hmm.
and, and just be the main person in charge of my time, which I think is more valuable than people
Yeah.
give for, you know, that's the such a limited thing we have in our life.
Hmm.
And
That's for sure.
yeah, so I really like that. I also like that. I think if you're shy or if you're outgoing or whatever, like you should do it. People think, oh, I can't travel alone because I'm really shy or talk to people. But that's exactly why you should go alone, because then you'll kind of
Yeah.
step out of your comfort zone and you're forced to talk to people and people will approach you and like you'll just I think that it was a great growing experience, in that, you know,
Hmm.
you just
Yeah.
meet.
I would totally agree with you with all of that. I know I've really gotten a lot out of my solo travels,
Hmm.
and kind of all the same reasons. There's something so freeing about being on your own, and it's everything is up to you all the time.
Yeah.
And so you can do kind of whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, but I also feel like you meet a lot of people along the way, and you learn a lot about yourself. And like you said, it takes you out of your comfort zone and helps you grow as a person, which I think is always a good thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I feel like, um, oh, I just lost my train of thought. um, hmm. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so any other big travel stories that you want to talk about, or anything exciting that you've experienced along your way?
Yeah, last year I was also able to do a partial solo trip in Mexico. So I spent almost a month there, and I spent half the time alone, and then my brother ended up joining me halfway through. Um, and that was really fun. That was that was my first time doing a trip in like another country. Um,
Hmm.
for real, and I thought that was really cool. That time I got a really good hostel experience, where like you get there and you kind of build a family with the people staying at the hostel. And I think that was,
Hmm.
um, a lot of people were so it. I was on a budget at the time. I want to travel, but I don't have all this money, and that's why I was staying at hostels. Like that was part of the part of it was the experience, but another part
Hmm.
monetary issues. And it was cool that we were all kind of on the same. We all wanted to kind of explore. We all wanted to do things, but we also like weren't trying to just splurge on all this. So we would go grocery shopping and we would all like decide on what we're gonna cook this big family meal, and we'd enjoy it at the hostel. And one of the guys had like DJ equipment, so he started playing music, and one of the other
Oh.
guys sang, and then like we were dancing. It was just cool to see how like everyone comes together from all different parts of the world and
Hmm.
are enjoying each other. And I thought that was really cool. Oh,
Yeah.
and I wanted to mention about solo traveling is that like, you can kind of like decide who you want to be and like
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like sometimes when you grow up, especially in the city I grew up in, it's not like a small town, but it is a pretty small city where like anywhere you go, you'll probably run into someone you know.
Yeah.
And there's something cool about that, but there's also something liberating about anonymity, like being
Hmm.
anonymous. And you kind of just get to choose who you want to be. Not doesn't necessarily mean you're faking it or you're being a fake person. It just means that you get to choose who you want to be, and you don't tie to things from your past, or you don't have to be tied to, like maybe the way you were before. Like if you want to change, you don't have to give anyone an explanation. You can just be who you want to be. And I really
Yeah.
like that about it. Like, yeah,
Yeah. No,
that's
I
and I
totally agree with that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, and say, like you were talking about with how everyone kind of comes together when you're traveling. I think that one of my biggest pet peeves, and I've mentioned this on other episodes, but um, I really want everyone to have the opportunity to go travel to another country and just experience what it's actually like. Because we're shown all these things in the media or whatever, and it paints the culture of this place or the people of this place is one way. But
Mhm.
in my experiences of having been around the world, pretty much everyone is the same, and that they just want to be happy and live their lives and just go enjoy the short time that we have. And I think when we're all traveling, like especially staying at a hostel, you really get to see that up close and personal, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, I think that like you get to see like how people do certain things differently. Cultures can be a little different, but then we're all the same. We're all
Mm.
just human. We're all just living in this world with the same goal is like to be happy. So I think you're right. I think that is really cool. And I think there's also I don't know what exactly was your pet peeve that you were mentioning.
Oh, the pet peeve is that more people don't travel. I think in the U.S. the statistic is like 50% of people never leave 50 miles from where they were born,
Oh yeah.
which is really sad.
Yeah, that is true. And I actually heard another statistic that only like 15% of Americans have a passport. So that just
Gee.
shows how many people like actually go out and see the world. And
Mhm.
like not to get like political or anything, but like it's easy to be in your country and be like, oh, this is the best country and like we don't have to leave and it doesn't matter because this is the best place to be anyway. And
Yeah.
I don't think that there is one best place to be. Like I think that every part of the world has its beauty and every part of the world has like its different perks and its different things that you can see and it's you can't really compare it because they're I don't know
Hmm.
just so many different things in every different place.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think it would make the world a better place if we all could get out and just see something that we're not used to.
Yeah,
Um, and maybe it helps you think of some ideas. I know it's helped me think of a lot of ideas because I got to see something done in a different way that I'd never thought of.
yeah, no, yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
something I was asking you about your pet peeve because I also have a pet peeve with when people travel like how do I say this? Like I think there's a big difference between traveling and going on like a luxury vacation.
Yes,
And
100%.
I think that people, like you said, need to travel more and kind of like if they're going to a new place, like go to the new place and then also um like respect the place and get to know the place, bond with the place. And
Hmm.
I saw like a meme the other day that was like, how can you say you want to travel the world and then like not like people who don't speak English? Like
Yeah.
you can't do both of those things because that's not how the world works. And like sometimes like I know sometimes people will go to another country and stay at a resort like a whole week and not ever leave the resort, not ever like leave, not even like even from the airport. They get a shuttle, get taken to the resort, and
Hmm.
resort for like an entire week. They probably don't even eat like the authentic food from that country. They like at a sushi bar or something, and then
Yeah.
come back and they were like, "Oh, I spent like a week in Mexico," and it's like, "Well, like, did you see any of Mexico?" Like, I understand that those trips are good for family. Those trips are good if you are going on, like they have certain purposes. But I think
Yeah.
that if you want to go and travel the world, you really need to step out of your comfort zone and you need to go into the places that might make you a little uncomfortable, but you're going to be so much happier in the end of it because you
Hmm.
can see things that you never saw before and experience things and meet people. And I would say, like, that's what I really encourage people to do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's it's not really traveling if you're just gonna go have all of the same comforts that you're used to.
Exactly.
Or probably even more luxurious type of accommodations and things like that. It's
Uh-huh.
travel when you're getting out there and you're experiencing the culture, the food, the music, all the good and bad of that place.
Yeah,
And
and I say, like, even like if you haven't traveled a lot, I can understand that it might take like a while to like just like a few trips to kind of get comfortable with like what you want to do and like how you want to approach things. But I would say anywhere you go, even if it's inside of the US or if it's, I don't know, anywhere in the world, I feel like you should always make an effort to try to meet at least like three new people, like
mhm,
have a conversation and actually talk to them and like see what their life is like because
yeah,
people make trips special, not necessarily destination. So,
mhm, definitely. Yeah, I always enjoy like going to a bar or something and just talking to the bartender or just random people there, or like talking to the Uber driver. Like they usually have the inside scoop on like where's the good places to go and things to eat, or like what do the locals do and that
uh-huh.
sort of thing, which I think is a ton of fun.
Yeah, I have one story I'd like to share. When I was
Yeah.
in Colombia, um, I spoke to a lot of locals, like that would say that I guess there's trouble between like there's trouble in Venezuela, so a lot of Venezuelans are going to Colombia, and
Hmm.
a lot of the locals would be upset about it and being like, "Oh, like there's so many Venezuelans here. They're taking over. They're like doing all these things, and the crime has gone up, and they're really upset." And like I would just hear it, and I'd be like, "Okay, like I guess," and I wouldn't think too much of it. But then one day I was at a bus stop, at a bus station, and I kind of missed my bus, so I wait at this little shop till the next bus came. And I was in there and I ordered a coffee. The lady seemed pretty like serious, so I just said hi, and then I was sitting down and I pulled out a ukulele and I was playing it. And she came over and she was like, "Oh, is that a ukulele?" Or she said, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a ukulele." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, my daughter loves the ukulele." And she just like flipped 100. She was pretty cold at first, but she opened up and she was so bright. And she was like, "Yeah, my daughter loves this. She watches the show and the character lately." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And she was like, "Can you play a song?" And I recorded it to her. Like, sure. And then she left and she went to the back. And then she came back and I could tell that she was crying. And she came and she sat down and she told me that she's from Venezuela and she came because she had to and couldn't bring her daughter with her and she had to leave her
Oh,
with her
geez.
mom. And she was like 4 or 5 years old, like she was super young. And she was just started talking to me about her daughter and how difficult it's been having to like leave her country and try to start this world, start this new life, and try to bring her family back. And I just thought like it not that it was beautiful, the pain that she was going through, I thought that it was so like eye for me to see how like people are like like going through things and then thinking
Mhm.
back to things that people had told me like, oh, Venezuelans are coming like to Colombia and they're causing all this crime. And it's like, okay, think about all the troubles that they're going through too. It just like opens your
Yeah.
eyes to see both perspectives of things. because
Yeah.
when you just sit at home and you're on your phone and you just read like stuff on social media, like it's just so different than actually being in the world, seeing people going through the things that they go through. And
Oh
I
yeah.
like
There,
I
there-
yeah.
sorry, I was gonna say that it's totally different to actually, go there and be able to ask them face to face, like, you know, what is causing this? Like, why are you coming? That sort of thing. And they'll
Yeah,
tell you, their side of it, and like what's actually happening, not what is being portrayed
exactly. And
necessarily.
it's so much easier to create a narrative in your head when you don't know these people and you don't like meet anyone and you just believe stories that people tell you. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that like one side is right and the other is right or wrong or whatever. It's just it's it's so easy to hate people from a distance, but when they're right in front
Yeah.
of you, you care more about like understanding what's going on,
Hmm.
what they're going through.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was like a really cool experience for me.
Oh, I
Uh,
bet that sounds amazing.
it makes you feel like so fortunate and so blessed to have things that you have in life, you know?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. During my time in Guatemala, where I was teaching kids English, that had a major impact on my life.
yeah,
Forever changed my outlook on on life. Such an eye-opening experience. But yeah, that's what traveling can do for you. So everyone needs to get out there and travel.
yes.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to end it, Sarah. Again, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing some of your stories, and I look forward to seeing you around the world soon.
Of course. Yeah, you too.
Yeah. All right. All right. Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor. And now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well, and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.